What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to some Neverness to Everness NTE. My name is Topi, and today we're going to be doing a character guide of Fadia. Now, I was going to do a Daffodil one event like right now instead of this one, but when I looked online, I saw there was quite a few ones for Daffodil, but there weren't too many for Fadia, so I decided let's make a Fadia one instead. Let's hop straight into it. Right off the bat, we're going over her arc, her console, her Esper ability, module, stuff like that, as well as team compositions, and then how I use her on my one specific team. We're going to be going over all that, but just to start off right in the beginning, Fadia is a synthesis slash survival character from the Psyche element. As we can see here, when we click this here, synthesis and survival, we're going to see all the reactions that she's able to proc pretty much. So we have Nova, we have Stain, and we have Discord. But one thing to look at, which I overlooked a little bit before, is that mental damage is a product of the Nova reaction. They take mental damage after 5 seconds. My Fadia currently has 29k HP. She's level 50, because we're kind of locked at that for the moment. Well, I just hit level 40, so I could level her up to 60, but majority of us are locked at 50 right now, and she's at a 33 to 78 crit rate to crit damage ratio, 1100 attack, and then obviously the 29k HP. For her arc, we are using Eternal Waltz. Is an S rank and has a substat of HP percent, which she skills off of, and we'll see in the Esper ability that we're going to do Esper ability next and then console. As for the arc's effect, we can see it increases max HP by 20%. This is at T1, and then it increases mental damage dealt by 10% for 10 seconds after the wearer casts its ultimate. So right off the bat, once we go to the Esper ability, you're going to see how important Eternal Waltz is for her and why we would use it over something like Camellia Society. She's also able to use Camellia Society, which we're currently using our Bai Sing, which if you want to learn about Bai Sing and how to use him and stuff like that, you can check out the guide that I made. Should be right there or right there. I'm not sure which one. But it's pretty in-depth, it's pretty nice, and you'll be able to, learn how to use Bai Sing. But Eternal Waltz is a better option than Camellia Society, because although it does increase crit damage by 16%, when the wearer's HP is reduced without taking damage, up to 4 stacks, we're still going to want this mental damage increase as well as max HP increase. So now we can go on to her Esper abilities. Basic attack combo, 5 consecutive hits, 5 clicks, she hits 8 times. And when Fadia's current HP is greater than 1, she redirects a portion of the damage taken by her teammates to herself. So she's taking in damage, reducing the damage that her teammates are taking because she's taking a portion of that. And then once her HP drops to 1%, she ceases that redirect damage because then she would get yoinked. And at this point, if Fadia receives damage, she will share it with the surviving teammates. So it kind of flips when she hits 1 HP. And then her critical riposte is just she dodges and she deals, 1 instance of psyche damage, and it's going to reduce the break bar, kind of like every other character that we have. As for her skill, this is where a lot of things are revolving around. She deals 1 instance of psyche damage in the area and also inflicts destructive experience on the enemy with the highest max HP in the area for a period of time. Now, if we look at attributes, we can see that this period of time is 15 seconds, and destructive experience is a special effect that Fadia attaches to a target, causing the target to share a percentage of the damage that Fadia takes during the duration. So the enemy is attacking our teammates. The teammates are having damage reduction and sending damage to Fadia, and Fadia is sending a portion of that damage that she's taking back to the enemy. We got a triangle thing going on here. It's pretty cool. So destructive experience ends either when the damage cap has been reached or when the target / Fadia leaves combat. So if Fadia does die, then destructive experience obviously is over. And then if the enemy dies, then of course there's, you can't attach it to what's not there anymore. So it's over. Pretty cool ability, pretty strong. And as we can see through this, it goes for 15 seconds and the cooldown is 16 seconds. So that's 1 second downtime. And in that 1 second downtime, you're probably using that 1 second to reapply it anyways. Now, if we go over to her ultimate, she switches to her Lilith state. She's dealing 6 instances of mental damage and restoring her HP. And then she also has a follow-up 5 attack combo. So, she throws her jacket away, she puts down the cross, and then she starts throwing hands. You know what I mean? She's like, bah, 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 bah. She knows what she's doing. While she's doing that, she's dealing mental damage. So That 6 instances is mental damage, and the 5 follow-up attacks in which you will have to click and you have to be on field for also does mental damage. It fully restores the HP of Agony of Euphoria, so her ultimate comes back when her HP goes below the destructive threshold, which if we escape here and we hop out the whip, you can see down there on our HP bar there's going to be 2 triangles that are kind of like pinching a part of the HP bar. Once her HP drops below that, she's going to automatically get her ultimate ability. And then when you exit, this is talking about exiting the Lilith state, so it either happens when the duration ends, all follow-up attacks are finished, or when she is switched out. So, you know, sadly we can't just like ult and then click once to start it and then switch off a character and she continues to do the combo. No, you do actively have to be pressing your left click or whatever your attack button is, and do all 5 attacks while she is on field in order for her to do her Lilith state and do all the damage and stuff like that. We can't like swap off like we can with like Daffodil or something like that. Really cool ability though. She redirects damage. Her teammates give her damage. She redirects the damage to the enemy, and she's also able to do some solid damage with her mental damage while she is on field. So she's not just strictly you know, a survivability character, she also does do damage. Her support skill, so like her intro skill, she just hits the enemy with damage, with psyche damage, and then her Furnace of Guilt, this is her second support skill, pretty much allows all allies to drain max HP from the target when Nova ends, right? So the target loses max HP equal to 200% of Fadia's base max HP, so anything that you're putting on her like console wise and cartridge is not going to affect this because it's her base max HP. And each ally gains max HP equal to 10% of Fadia's base max HP. Again, base. Total drain cannot exceed 50% of Fadia's max HP, base max HP, and restoring both parties' stats upon exiting combat. Pretty solid. And then Denial and Plunder, pretty much when this is active, the entire team gets 10% max HP. Pretty cool. We're not going to really go over her life skills, doesn't really matter too much. But going over to the console, you're going to see something a little different if you've seen a different Fadia video, right? I'm currently using Devil's Blood Curse, right? And I'm using it because it has a psyche damage bonus and increases the wearer's damage by 18% and then by 36% instead of 18 when Nova or Stain is active. Obviously, this is for a more damage-oriented Fadia build, right? And here you would most likely use crit rate or crit damage for the main stat, but I used HP because I'm kind of using like a pseudo thing right now. But the set that you would be using, I'm going to show on screen here. The set you would be using is Tiny Big Adventure. This increases max HP by 10% and increases the wearer's max HP by 4% when taking damage up to 10 stacks, and each stack lasts for 10 seconds, and then also casts your ultimate automatically, you know, grants you 10 stacks right off the bat. So this is what you're going to be using her on. Increases her HP by 50% in total, just off of that set alone. But the reason why I'm using the psyche damage one is because I currently have Fadia at A2, which is going to turn her more into like a sub DPS type of character. For this video I turned them off, but usually I would be using Survivor of Death, which increases her crit rate by 50% in the Lilith state, which is why we would want a main stat of crit damage. And then I also use Instinct, which increases the damage ratio taken through destructive experience to 600%, and then also increases the damage cap by 25% of Fadia's max HP. So that's why I'm using Devil's Blood Curse, but you would be using Tiny Big Adventure because when you don't have awakenings for Fadia, you're going to want to maximize her HP as much as possible. So then she's able to take in more damage and redirect more damage out towards the enemies, right? So you'd be using that. You'd want max HP. You'd want HP as your main stat, and then crit rate, crit damage, and breaking density as such is nice for her as well. But remember, at the top, her HP is increased by 6% for each type 2 module equipped. So right here we can see type 2 module is going across or going above. So we have 1, 2, and that's it. We're getting 12% right off the bat, right? Because we're only using 2 type 2 modules. Type 3 does not mean like gold rarity, and type 2 does not mean purple rarity. It's quite literally how many like little squares are on this like Tetris piece, right? So type 2 module equipped, 1, 2. That's all we have, and we're increasing our max HP strictly from our console by 12%. So you want HP percent, crit rate, crit damage, I guess damage percent as well, and then you're gonna want HP percent for her cartridge, and still the same substats that I stated previously. So that's pretty much Fadia so far. We're gonna go into team compositions. This one right here is actually pretty good, but we're gonna go to team 6 really quick. Fadia, being a Psyche character, has the option of using Nova. And also, because she's using Nova, there's also an option to use Discord, which deducts a percentage of the target's break when they're simultaneously affected by Nova and Scorch, right? So we'd want an incantation character on the team, and we'd want a Discord character on the team with Fadia, so we can have access to this Discord reaction. Characters currently that are able to do this is currently the only chaos damage dealer in the game currently, or chaos character in the game in general, is Daffodil. So right off the bat, the only way to proc Nova is by having Daffodil on your team with Fadia, or, you know, obviously with Haniel, but we're not talking about Haniel today. So we'd want her on that team, Daffodil and Fadia, and then pretty much any incantation character would work here, but I personally like using Bising, and then I also put Adler on the team just so we have maximum incantation damage at all times, and 2 ways to proc Scorch, right? And then obviously once we proc Scorch as well as Nova, we're going to activate Discord. Another reaction that can be used is Stain, which increases the target's Psyche and Lakshana damage by 20% for 12 seconds after obviously triggering Stain. So what we could do here, which this is kind of a little bit of a weird team, but we could have, when we have this team, what we're doing is we're using Remora, which is going to slow down the enemy's movement and attack speed. We're also going to have Blossom off of our MC, which is going to generate a Vita Bud near the target, which is kind of like flying AoE damage. We're also going to have Stain, which increases that Psyche and Lakshana damage. And then we also have Charge, which increases ultimate energy when Vita pistols hit targets affected by Remora. So we can kind of use Fadia as like a damage reduction machine, and then also something to proc Stain for our DPS Hathor, right? This is kind of a little bit of a weirder team, but it's something that you could use. And then Fadia overall can just fit in any team that you want damage reduction in, right? She doesn't necessarily have to be proccing an Esper cycle, although that will be damage loss. She could be there just to keep up some characters that you have on your team. Pretty cool. But today we're going over the specific team that I had before, which is going to be Fadia, Daffodil, Bising, and Adler, right? So we got double DPS, we got like triple DPS here, honestly. But we have shield generation, we do have damage dealer, we have burst damage by Daffodil, and then Fadia is also going to come in with some damage, as well as deep damage reduction. We're going to select this team. Okay, and now for the showcase. We're going to bring ourselves over to a boss enemy. Actually, we're going to do Anomaly Commission, High Risk Commission, and then I think we're going to do a character that doesn't move too far, which is going to be Silent Garden, because I think it's just going to be easiest to show the rotation on a character / target that's pretty stationary. All right, let's challenge this boy. Discord team. This team already has reactions ready, so we're going to switch off of her to Bising, do Bising stuff. From him, we're going to go to Daffodil. Daffodil is going to proc Scorch. From that, we're going to go to Fadia. And we have our ultimate right now, so we're going to use it. So you see we're doing mental damage. We're going to use her E again. We're going to switch back to Bising. We're going to let him take damage because I want to show you that she gets her ultimate back once she passes that threshold. And sadly, that's pretty much the extent of Fadia. You come in, you drop your E until you have your ability. And then you ult and you get off field. Switch to Fadia. She has her ult ready because her HP dropped below the threshold. And then from here, we're going to switch to Daffodil and proc Discord. Nova and Discord. We actually haven't used Adler much, but whatever. Fawnless, bro. He said you're fawnless? That's crazy. We're gonna ult here. That did a lot of damage. And Fadia had her ult back, right? Because she passed through the threshold. Sadly, that's kind of it for Fadia, right? You basic attack combo, you use her E ability, and you slam down. So then you're able to switch into a different character. So I would do Fadia and then switch into your incantation dealer, incantation user. From that, you want to Esper cycle into Daffodil. And then if Daffodil has her Esper cycle ready, you'd switch into Fadia. If not, you already have Fadia's ready, so you'd go from Daffodil, use Daffodil's ult, and then switch to Fadia, use Fadia's ult or whatever, and switch back to Daff, and Daff just get a proc Discord. Fadia is just all about keeping your team alive and making sure Discord happens, right? But that's pretty much it. She's very, very simple, very bare bones of a character. Some people just have a little bit of difficulty understanding these words, or they just simply don't want to read it, which I get that, right? You use this game, you just want to play, escape whatever is going on in your life, stuff like that. You don't want to be having to read, especially if you like your job is like reading 50% of the time spreadsheets and stuff like that. Like, bro, yeah, I don't want to do that. So that's why I'm here. I read it for you and I tell you what it says the best way I can. But that's Fadia. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know down in the description. You can't talk in there. Let me know in the comment section below who you want to see next. Maybe someone who hasn't been, hasn't had too much love in the guide department. If you want to see how that character plays, let me know and I'll make it for you guys. Until then, my name is Topi. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.